Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of the Unfiltered podcast. The soul and the science, unpacking it all so you can understand yourself on such a holistic level. The human, the mind, the brain, the spirit coming into one space where really no conversation is off limit. I am here for it all, and I want to deliver it all for you so you can experience firstly the most rapid growth transformation being here in this human experience, but also a space for you to get your questions answered, a space for you to lean in, a space for you to get curious about like, what is this life? What is going on? And what tools do I need to actually start accessing my highest potential, my highest power, and then stepping into the next moment of now? This is what we're here for. Welcome to Unfiltered. Let's dive in. My name is Dr. Courtney Spiteri. About 12 months ago, I went rogue. I was a clinical neuropsychologist. I got cracked open in my own personal growth journey in 2022, which led me to this profound evolution of who I knew myself to be and subsequent birth of my heart-led business. And as a byproduct of that business, this incredible podcast, Unfiltered. And as I said, this space is really for us to have the deep conversations, to say the things that we shouldn't say, to go to the places we shouldn't go to, so we can actually live a really, really empowered life being all of you. So welcome. Today's conversation is epic. So epic and such a buzzword right now. Such a buzzword. Manifestation. Tell me all the secrets. I've been watching and really observing this whole paradigm of people coming in and being completely obsessed with manifestation. And when we break down manifestation and what it really is, ultimately, it's like, how do I create the life that I want in the least amount of time possible? And for some people, with the least amount of resistance, with the least amount of doing. And everyone is looking to crack this code. You know, there's never been a time like this before when there's books available, there's programs available, there's a million coaches on the internet, you know, on Instagram showing you how to manifest. There's AI bots now. There's every single thing you can think of that is in your favor to help you manifest this dream reality. And I'm totally here for it, and also equally acknowledge how much noise is in the space, how much noise is going on right now. And if you've been in the personal development world for a while, or if you're even just starting to dip your toe, you will quickly realize how much noise there is. You know, one person's over there saying like, sit under the full moon and do all the rituals. Someone's saying, don't worry about that, just go follow your highest excitement. Someone else is over there giving you the AI bot so you can manifest your, you know, $1 million in a minute. It is absolutely wild. And I think because of the internet and because of Instagram, because of AI, and because of how everything is just evolving and growing so rapidly, we lose touch with the fundamentals. We really lose touch with the fundamentals of what it means to move from default mode to designer mode, to move from survival to creation. And I'm celebrating you for being here. I'm celebrating you for listening to this podcast, because you are obviously up for this, right? You're experiencing your life right now. You're experiencing your reality. And while you may have created some really incredible results, there's probably that desire piece that's coming online saying, there's got to be a bit more. Tell me there's a bit more money, a bit more wealth, a bit more intimacy, you know, depth in your work, clients, evolution of your business, evolution of your family, travel, the house, the car, the bank account, whatever it is. And I'm really here first and foremost to destigmatize any shame that we have around our wants. Really, we've grown up in a society where it's like, you know, tall poppy, don't ask for what you want, stay small, don't upset the apple cart, don't upset people around you, you've got more than enough, look at the people over there in that country, you know, that's being ungrateful. And what I truly believe after my reconnection and, you know, deep spiritual journey back to myself is that the universe is actually not on a budget. It's not. When I receive more clients, more love, more impact, more, you know, reach, it doesn't take away from someone else. It's actually a never-ending flow of abundant energy that we can tap into at any moment. But then why, and this really begs the question, Why is it that that's not our current experience? And why isn't that the experience for everyone? Why are so many people and, so many different cultures still stuck in lack, still stuck in scarcity, still stuck in this mindset and this experience that there's actually not enough? And again, this isn't calling anyone out from a shame or blame lens. It never is. It's looking at it, and I love this, from a pattern recognition perspective and grounding it back into the science, grounding it back into the neuroscience, grounding it back into being a human. I personally do not believe that you need an AI bot to go and manifest your wildest dreams. Absolutely not. I believe that there is a very, very specific formula that you can follow. And if you do this, and if you do this well, that you can actually create anything. When I was starting on this journey, that was one of the biggest pieces that I really struggled with, especially when I started to work with clients. And I'm talking like a year or so ago now, maybe even longer, but they would make these claims and there was still a part of me that's like, oh, I don't know, is that possible? Where now there is not one cell in my body that doesn't believe that whatever you want, whatever the desire is, that you can't make it true. You can absolutely make it true. And we know this, and neuroscience shows us this. Whatever the brain believes, it makes true. The problem is that we're still, and this is the manifestation piece, right? And this is all the noise online. I really want to break it down for you today because I have studied this and I have heard it from so many different lenses, and I've incorporated like the top spiritual teachers and, the coach online and all of them. Like, what are they saying? And what's the key fundamental truths underneath all of it? And this is why I want to deliver to you today so you can cut through it, right? So you can really cut through it. One of the biggest pieces, and this is what I was saying before, where we really get this misconstrued is that we believe that it's actually outside of ourselves, which is great for business and great if you're a manifestation coach because you've got all the codes. You've got all the things that you're going to teach people in order to transform their lives. Again, calling myself out here, right? Because I understand it from a different lens. But ultimately, everything that you need, and you may have heard this before, everything that you need to manifest, anything that you want in life is already in you. It's already you. You've already got it. And the desire is in you because it's for you. I have so many of my clients ask me, they're like, oh, I want to go build this business. I want to have this relationship. I want to go and travel. And there's so much angst and there's so much internal conflict about our desires. Change doesn't come from anything else than desire. Even when you're presented with a problem, it's still showing you the contrast. Thank you, Abraham Hicks. It's showing you the contrast of what it is that you want. So the first step, honestly, that often blocks people is actually owning your desires and allowing them to be okay. Your bank account can be overflowing and you can still desire more. You can be in a beautiful house and still desire the apartment by the beach. You can be in a beautiful relationship and still desire experiencing another level of this. This is the first piece where we often, again, really get ourselves quite messed up because we shame ourselves for having desires. We shame ourselves for having wants. We shame ourselves, and this is really like on a fundamental level, for even having needs beyond our basic needs being met. And this is a full permission slip if you're listening to this right now. Follow the desires. Follow the desires. That's the blueprint for your soul's evolution. If it is in you, it is for you. Full stop. This is why some people get the download of I'm writing a book, and other people want to travel the world, and other people want to create a business, and other people want to be artists, and other people want to be speakers, and other people want to be movie actors. Like, if it's in you, it is for you. It is not by accident. It's not by accident that is what you are experiencing as your highest desire. So first and foremost, release any shame. Own the desire, own what it is that you really want. Because this is the thing, right? It's never the thing that we actually want, even though our brain makes us think that's what we want. It's the version of us that has the thing that we want. It's the feeling on the other side. It's the identity on the other side. It's what we were able to move ourselves through and relax into on the other side of gaining that. And I feel this so deeply coming into this online business world, creating a soul-led business from my heart. Absolutely. I'm here for the impact, the visibility, the clients, the wealth, the success, all of it. And deepening into that, I want to meet the version of me on the other side of that. I want to meet her. I want to see what she did. I want to see how she did it. I want to see how she moved herself through the grit. This is what we often call the hero's journey. When you finally feel the call and then you go on the hero's journey and you let the devotion lead and you let the intuition just come online. It's so fun. It's so fun. And being embodied in this, about to move my family to Vietnam, literally based on an intuitive call, is like what? But this is where it is. We get to squeeze the most out of this life. We don't have to do it from safety survival. We get to do it from creation and overflow. So let's get back to the manifestation conversation. Number one, own your desires. Own your desires. Step number two, and I love this because what we hear so much online is like, oh, do the vision board and, do the rituals and focus on manifesting all the time and all of it. There's actually some really fundamental shifts that get to happen. Move from survivor mode into designer mode. And if you've listened to my other episodes, you may have a few clues on how we actually do this. We come back into our bodies, we start meeting our basic needs, we start seeing, and again, this is what I teach my clients, the survival self, the default self, the old programs that got downloaded in the brain that you believe to be you, which is actually just a survival mechanism. You start to see the survival self and you start to allow them to dissolve. You allow it to dissolve because you know it's not the truth of who you are, but something that's kept you really safe from a young age. No matter what environment you came from, I work with women all over the world with completely different backgrounds. I've had a very, big background myself. And what I see is that it's not actually the experience that you or the environment that you grew up with that determines how well you can manifest or create for your life. It's actually the ability for you to let it go. For you to know that regardless of the experience, regardless of what you've been through, you actually get to choose who you are in every single moment of now, regardless of this. This is not to say that we don't process our past, that there's not energy to be released. Absolutely. But the quicker you dissolve that this survival self is actually who I am, and you get back to neutrality in your nervous system, you're automatically in creation mode, automatically, because there's nothing to survive anymore. You're not moving from this fear state. You're moving from this flow, this fabulousness of, oh my gosh, I actually get to be the one that controls my internal world. And when you get into that state, this is where manifestation happens. So I want to take a step back then. This is why. And I really want you to understand this. If you are in this manifestation game and this manifestation, we're all in the manifestation game. That's what physical reality is. Fuck. Like, this is what I mean. I'm like, you're already doing it. That if you're deep in this manifestation game, I want you to understand this is that if you're trying to manifest from lack, if you're trying to manifest from scarcity, if you're trying to manifest because your current reality is not enough, you are going to keep getting it's not enough. You're going to keep amplifying that. And so this is why, and this is one of the key steps that we miss in the manifestation world, you are still in a survival state. You don't know how to be with your current reality, let alone your future reality. You still think that your future reality is going to solve the survival of your current reality. But let me tell you this, you don't ground in, you don't connect with what life is right now. You're bringing that survival self with you, just on a bigger scale. And I've seen this with businesses. I've seen this in relationships. I've seen this with people that, blow up absolutely in all the different ways that they thought that if the external changed, the internal would change. And this is not how it works. The landscape can look different, but the internal game is still the same. And so where we do this work, so we're actually amplifying what we want, is focusing on the internal game. Moving from survival self into the creator mode, into the one that gets to choose how it is. And we do this, and this is so key, by harnessing and being at the forefront of the internal world, how I feel, how I think, what I believe, how I move, who I say I am. And not only what I say, but how I show up in my conversation, in my relationship, in my integrity of my action. And this might sound like boot camp time. No. It's actually a process of deep devotion to self once you jump in to that realm where you know that you are the creator, where you know your words create your world, where you know everything is energy, where you know whatever you say is done, and that's all you have to do. But the first step, as I said, the second step now is moving from survivor and just check in. Like, really, am I signing up for all these manifestation challenges online because I'm trying to escape my current reality? And if you are, you're just going to create a different current reality that you still need to escape from. Energy cannot be created from something that it's not. You can't be in a fear state and create overflow. You can't be in love and create hate. You can't be in sadness or, grief and then create something else. Energy amplifies what it is. over and over and over again. So our job, your job, particularly if you're here to create big results for yourself and have them hold, is to reconnect back in here and start really being with the inner game. How am I feeling? How am I thinking? What am I believing? This is the key shift. The key shift that so many people miss. You think you're just going to rehearse something a few times. You think you're just going to, put pictures on a vision board that actually make you feel contracted, and that all of a sudden the Lamborghini is going to be in the driveway. It's like, no, that's not it. We want to use these tools, don't get me wrong. Like, use the vision board if it excites you, if it expands you, if you're like, yes, oh my gosh, this is for me because I can see it now and I'm focusing on my future and I'm pulling it towards me. If it's not that, it's not it, right? If it is not that, it isn't it. You're still in survivor mode and you're still trying to fix the survival self, as opposed to seeing through it, seeing it for a survival self and remembering who you are, which is a divine being of light, endless love always. So here we are. We've owned our desires. We jump into creation mode. Creation mode being, I understand and I see that everything is energy, and that energy can only be amplified and created from the frequency for which it started as. I can create love from love, as I said. I can create joy from joy. I can create overflow from overflow. I can't create wealth from scarcity. Sometimes you will, like you might create more money in your bank account, but your experience is still not enoughness. Has anyone else noticed this? And I really want you to tune in this now moment. Like, if you check in, let's say it's scarcity, right? And we want to create some more money. I want you to tune into where you were 10 years ago. Do you earn more money now than where you were 10 years ago? Probably. Most of us, right? Like, I know for me, 10x, 100x, really. I was working in a pizza shop. I was at Sports Girl. I was like, doing these worst hours possible, really, like studying. It was wild. And I have so much more money now. But yet, up until very recently, when I started actually doing the real work, I was still in scarcity. It was still never enough. So the figure can change. And this is the internal game, right? The figure can change, and yet the experience is still the same. And so you can manifest as much money as you want. If it's from a place of fear and lack, what are you going to amplify? You're going to amplify fear and lack. And this, again, is not often what I see is not what's sold online, which is like, just amplify the millions and you'll feel like a millionaire. No, you won't. If your nervous system, and this is where we're getting into the crux of it now, isn't calibrated to, I am someone who holds large amounts of wealth. I am someone who is safe going so deep into intimacy with a partner. I am someone that deserves, that is worthy of the house, the car, the relationship, the business, all of it. You will go back. You will get yourself back into your energetic bandwidth, the space, the energy frequency for which you know yourself to be. You will get back there so fast. And we see this, right? 80% of lottery winners actually end up in the same position or worse off than where they were before they won the lottery. That isn't a numbers game. That's a nervous system game. If your identity can't actually hold the thing that you're manifesting, it's going to self-sabotage itself back into the zone of comfortability, which I like to call it, which is where it knows itself to be. Again, there's no right or wrongness to it. It's literally the science of the nervous system. Science being that it wants familiar, it wants safety, it wants what it knows. And when we think about our current reality right now, and again, this is the piece I see miss so much in the manifestation world, the current reality that you have in front of you, this beautiful reality that you've created for yourself, is a mirror image of who you are right now, or who you've known yourself to be previously, right? Because we're always living like the past. This is always the past manifestation of the internal world, because we live in a 3D reality and there's time. So this is always the past manifestation. But this is the mirror. This is the mirror. This is literally the mirror. All the data that you ever need as to why you don't have what you want is literally in front of you in every single moment of now. So what we then start to do, instead of doing what everyone else does, which I'm going to tell you in a minute, we start actually upgrading internally, becoming the person that's wealthy of money, becoming the person that's wealthy of receiving love, becoming the person that's a leader, that sees herself through fire and beyond, that creates, that does all these things. That's when the world starts to shift outside of you, not when you're stuck in scarcity and survival and then write some manifestation codes in a journal 10 times a week. Can you start to see the patterning here? It's a whole system thing. It's a whole being thing. It's all of my senses are alive and on board with what it is I'm creating. That's how people quantum leap. They don't quantum leap by not upgrading the internal system and writing rubbish in a journal. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to call it out because I want you to stop wasting your time and I want you to have access to the codes, the real work of what's behind it. And so if we think about that, our current identity is the thing creating everything outside of us. This is where that sexy self-responsibility gets to come online. Hello, yay, we're here. And when we really lean into this level of self-responsibility, you're in a position of power. I know it feels icky because you're like, no, it really is Tom, or it really is the boss, or it really is my business, it really is Instagram, it really is the moon, it really is. But when you're like, no, it's me, guess what? Instantly, you're in a position of power. Victimhood feels like power initially and then turns to being stuck very, very quickly because we want to be right? So if we're a victim to our circumstances, the ego is going to double down. It's going to make us really right. So then we cut off all resources and we cut off all synchronicity and all opportunity to actually grow and evolve. Wild. When you really step into creative mode and you're like, everything in my reality is a creation of me always, and I'm 100% responsible for everything that happens to me, massive code right there. You actually in the most extreme position of power. Most identities, most egos will not let someone go there fast because it's just too much to hold. Because if we think back to when we were younger, if you were the one that were responsible, you were typically one that received the blame and received the shame instead of being in the frequency, which I always tell my clients, of curiosity. Oh, what part of me is coming forward right now? Of that softening of like, wow, am I seeing something I haven't yet seen? When you start to take full responsibility and then get curious about what part of it's creating, you can shift anything. So let's connect back in. We start upgrading the internal software. What we typically do is learn new information, learn new skills, try and find the gap, try and find this, try and find that in order to push the external reality to change. This is why, and it can a little bit, right? But this is why it takes so much energy and so much effort and often leading to burnout because you're trying to manipulate and control so much external without actually looking at the one in the mirror. And again, and this is like why I wanted to share this. I'm like, if you really understand energy and you really understand manifestation, is you know that the external reality cannot be anything other than what's inside you, than what's being held in here, what's being believed in here, what the thoughts are. We know our thoughts are things and that literally frequency creates form. And so unless you're being responsible for who you are and the identity you're creating in every single moment of now on repeat, moment by moment on purpose forever, so fun in this world, right? Then you're just trying to scrub a mirror that can never actually get clean because you're the one that keeps putting mud all over it. It doesn't make any sense. Again, calling it out, what we're sold in the manifestation world is just like, just do some affirmations or, just create the vision board or just here's a quick hack to manifest everything that you want. It's an entire nervous system. It's an entire identity that comes online. And I really want to proclaim this, right? Like I really want to say that this does not mean it takes long. It doesn't. If I tune back in 2022, what are we now? Started 2026. Started 2022. I was so disconnected from myself. I was pregnant with my second. I was so anxious. I hadn't started working clinically yet. I hadn't had a business. I hadn't started there. Like so different. And then 2022 cracked me open. And then in 2 years, I have become a speaker. I've been flown internationally for retreats. I'm hosting my own retreat. I host programs for women all over the world. I work with numerous clients one-to-one. I have a personal brand. I have a relationship that is so deep. I'm about to travel overseas to world school. Like this didn't take 10 years. This took, months. I'm going to bring it down to really. Most of this, the massive shifts happened in months when I started to unbelieve who I thought I was and retrain myself to believe who I was and what I was becoming. That's when I got on a quantum. I love it. All these terms, and I totally believe in the quantum. But that's when I got on a quantum timeline. And I had a friend mirror this back to me the other day. She's like, something shifted in you in 2024. Like I had my meltdown May in 2024 where I was like, what is life? Got myself in my first mastermind and completely froze. My nervous system was not on board. It was literally like winning the lottery and then spending all the money. That's what it felt like, right? So I get this process. But she's like, something shifted for you in 2024 where it kind of just started to take off and it hasn't stopped since. And the secret, maybe I should write my own book. The secret was I stopped believing that I was something other than the future version of me that gets to have it all. That's what it was. I stopped rehearsing my old self. I just stopped rehearsing her. I just decided who Courtney Spiteri was. And then I kept deciding. We don't do this once, right? Like you're wired in, you are what you repeat. I kept repeating the version of me that I wanted to become that was a match to what I wanted to create, as opposed to rehearsing the old version of me and trying to solve why I thought that was me. That wasn't me. It was a version of me that got me to a point in time. I love her. I'm grateful for her. You know, her survival mechanisms really allowed me to move through some massive experiences. But that's why I love 2022. And if you don't know my journey, go back to episode 1, is because I had to unlearn who I was very quickly, because you can't hold that much grief and heartbreak and birth and death and loss and betrayal and all the things and be the same version of you. This is why 2022 was my absolute gold year. So I stopped rehearsing my old self. I felt the icky feelings that needed to come up. Of course, we're like sentient beings, we get to feel. And I started to rehearse a different version of me. And I haven't stopped. I haven't stopped since. Every move I make, every gap I see between who I'm being in this now moment and who my future self is, that has the business, that has the relationship even deeper, that has, you know, the vision board life, I see the gap and I move and I feel the gap and I feel the gap and I feel the gap. I focus on my communication. I focus on my health. I focus on my physique. I focus on, you know, my programs. I focus on my work. I'm not stuck in the past version of me trying to solve her and wonder why I don't manifest what I want. I'm continually focused on the future, in the present moment, deeply grateful for everything I've created, knowing it's a mirror of who I've been in the past and that I can actually recreate it in any moment of now. And I want to leave you with this piece as we start to close up. And I really hope that you've had some massive ahas and gems in here, because manifestation, it's not hard. You're already doing it. You are already doing it. Anyone that is going to sell you the manifestation technique, like, send them my way. Fuck. Send them my way. It's such bullshit. You're already manifesting. There's no hack. There is no hack other than, who do you believe yourself to be? I want you to ask yourself this, and I want you to sit with this. Do you believe that you are the person that is like dripping in gold worthy? Do you believe that you could be or are someone that creates millions of dollars? Do you believe that your mind gives you $1,000,000 ideas? Do you believe that you are that in control, that you're that much of a creator, that anything you say you want, you get? Do you believe that you get to go to the depths of intimacy and love and sensuality and sexuality and feel safe in your body? Do you believe that you are the most sexy thing alive? Like, whatever. Do you believe it to be true? If the answer is no, or if the answer is I'm learning, great, we're on that path. But if the answer is no, there is no way that that can manifest in your physical reality, because whatever your brain believes, it makes true. The brain is the filter to the veil. It is the veil. It can't bring through an energetic manifestation from the 4D into the 3D if the pathway isn't there, if the pathway isn't clear. You know, I heard once that everything that you want is trying to find you. The only thing blocking it is you, which is so true, because if we look at this energetically in the field, if the signal isn't clear between who you are being and what it is you say that you want, if it's not an energetic match, it can't match you. And so tune in. Who do I believe myself to be? And more to the point, what steps am I taking to reaffirm that belief? What actions am I taking? What emotions am I feeling, and what thoughts am I having to reaffirm the belief of who I know myself to be? And if you really want to step into creation mode, build in the trigger switch of, this is my default, I have a nervous system. Start tapping into creation mode and stepping into the version of you that's a match to what it is that you want to create. This isn't hard, But there's resistance because we have a meat suit with a nervous system that's literally built on survival. So this is what you're coming up against if you feel resistance. This is why I say resistance is literally the green light for growth, because the resistance is a nervous system signaling change, not signaling stop. It's signaling change. So tune in. Who do I believe myself to be? This is the actual work. This is why when I see the manifestation bots, like, yes, I love it. If it's going to give you like extra level of awareness about yourself, but if it isn't teaching you the fundamentals of what it is to be a human, the nervous system operating system, and then how you move in a way that's congruent with where it is that you're going, it's another tool that you've got in your inbox, like the other programs and the courses, right? Again, calling myself out here. It doesn't work. It doesn't work unless you actually are doing the work that works. One last piece of this that I was going to share before. The brain is so smart, and it's always using imagination. It's always rehearsing something. Typically, if you're not in a reality that you love, that's in overflow, that's in joy, that's in love, that's in intimacy, whatever it is, right? You're probably rehearsing what you don't want. I can actually guarantee that you're rehearsing what you don't want. If you keep getting what you don't want, that is what you're rehearsing. What you focus on feeds. You are continually to rehearse what you don't want, or you're continuing to rehearse the past over and over and over again. And I'm calling myself out here because this is what I did for 35 years, wondering why I could never escape my past, because that's all I focused on. And again, this isn't to say that we don't have to process parts of our past, absolutely, but we don't have to live there unless you choose to live there. And then that's totally your free will and your prerogative. And this podcast probably isn't for you, right? But if that's not the life that you're up for, if you're up for quantum growth, if you're up for, the results that don't make sense, if you're up for the speed, because it is, you're tapping into a different timeline and that those leaps can happen really, really quickly, you need to start training your brain to remember your future. There's been studies that have done with this where, they have people come in and like practice an instrument, right? And they measure the parts of the brain that light up. And then the next day they have them come in and instead of practicing the instrument, they have them visualize practicing the instrument and the same parts of the brain light up. So what does this actually tell us? The brain cannot distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. But regardless, whatever you imagine, it will make true. It will make it true. It will give you the evidence. It will give you the opportunities. It will give you the synchronicities. It will give you the information. It will filter it based on what it is your predominant rehearsal is, where your predominant lens is. And so again, if you want to start creating something new, you have to switch up what you are predominantly focusing on. Stop focusing on what you don't want. That is the thing that's amplifying it. Start focusing on what you do want. Look at the bank account in gratitude for what's in there at the moment, knowing that it means nothing about what's going to be in there next week. Just is as it is. Focus on the overflow that's coming. Train your brain to remember the future. Remember the future. Focus on the future. Focus on the potential. Focus on the 4D field. That's what collapses it into the 3D. Because very naturally, when you do this, your thoughts align, your beliefs align, and your actions align to the results or the future that you're focusing on, not where you've been. This is really simple and this is really, really key and something that you are able to do from a grounded, regulated nervous system. If you are consistently in survival, your brain is consistently going to give you the problems you need to solve. You're not going to be able to mine the desires out of the problems because it is literally fight or flight. You feel like your life is at threat and you'll continually stay in the survival loop and then go and buy manifestation bots or whatever. The part of this that we miss is a regulated nervous system, being able to be here in the here and now moment, knowing that your past has nothing to do at all with your future. Nothing. Unless it's a skill you don't have and you know you don't have that skill that you can go and learn now, it actually has nothing to do with your future. And once you know that, you start anchoring into the future, into what it is that you want to create. And then you start aligning your thoughts, beliefs, actions with that future, and life rearranges. The last piece of this, I need to do a whole podcast episode on this. It is coming, I swear. You don't need to know the how. You don't need to get caught up in the how. As soon as we're in the how, we're back in survival because the brain is saying, okay, I'll let you flirt with the new version of you. Let me know the how and then we'll go all in. Show me the how. Show me I'm safe. Show me it's predictable. That's what the how is. Show me how I do it so I can predict every step. You're not in nervous system safety in that moment. You're not. I'm sorry. You're actually in dysregulation and you're trying to control, because control is always a function of fear. When you are grounded, you are open to receiving any outcome, knowing that you are on the path to your highest timeline always in every single moment, because your intentionality, that's where it's set. That's where the compass is set. So if you're focusing on the how, this is a really good fear cue, which I love to name and tame. Focus on your fear cues that you're actually back in survival. You don't need to know the how. You need to focus on where you're going and focus on who you're being. And this is what shifts everything. So again, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've gotten so much out of this. This whole idea that manifestation is this mystery that none of us solve, or like a select few solve. It's just absolute rubbish. It is rubbish. We're always manifesting. You're always manifesting. We need to become conscious at the part of us that we're manifesting from, and that's where we need to move from. That, what it is in alignment that we do want to manifest, and not keep focusing on what we don't want to amplify. I'm your host, Dr. Courtney Spiteri. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.